Okay, and we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another reviewing with Gears of Planet. Hello, I'm your host, Gears of Planet, and this is a series where people send me their gameplay of totally accurate battlegrounds. I review it, and I coach them by telling them how they can improve. So today we have a slightly less conventional submission. We have a member called MrDootDoot, as in trumpet sounds, who wants to get better and was interested, and so they sent me a couple of games. They sent me this first game called Last Second Fumble, a couple of other games here, and from what I know so far, they're a decent player, but they just recently got back into the game, and they don't really understand why they haven't been able to win, because they can make it to the end of the match, but they keep falling over. So with my advice and my insights, they can hopefully learn a bit more about their process. Yet again, I want to say to everybody who watches these, thank you very much. Your viewership not only supports what I do, but also shows me that I'm doing it well. That being said, if you have any suggestions or anything, let me know in the comments below. If it's possible, I will try and adapt it. Like special effects and stuff like that are a bit out of my league, but like I can accommodate stuff. Anyways, let's get to the video. So this is the first game, and I'm not gonna go over it much because it's a 12-player game. It's mostly dead. And it was also their first game that they sent me, so they are still decently rusty here. And I'm gonna stick on this for a bit, mainly to point out like things I see about looting, but after this game there will mostly be stuff about fighting. So you've landed near Shack. This is dangerous because Shack is a very contested spot, usually when there's more players, which means that if you aren't careful, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation, because whoever's in Shack will very quickly loot Shack and then go and, chase you down. Now, this is an interesting loadout. I don't really know what to say about this. Is it a strong loadout? Yes, it's got a lot of very close range potential. Katana, high damage, it's 87 damage per swing if you can land it. The dash attack also hits free mobility, it also deals a lot of damage. It's a very powerful combo. I'm pretty sure you got a teleport in the third slot, which is even more mobility. Overall, pretty good. However, usually this needs some kind of, it usually needs blessings to make this work. It's a good loadout, but this is a good loadout that you make or build once you're in the middle of the game, not at the start of the game, because usually what you need for this is you need some kind of healing. Ideally, Vampire will probably be your best results, Vampire or Relax, and then you can just throw in like stuff like regen, cardio, etc., etc. You need some kind of healing. You usually need a secondary damage source. What I mean by secondary damage source is something that gives you a bit more oomph in a fight. So this could be something like Storm, which calls down lightning bolts that deal extra damage. That's free damage if you can consistently land shots. And given this is a shotgun, and the Storm triggers on how many pellets you hit, not how many bullets, like not how many times you click the trigger, Storm pairs very well with shotguns. That would be a fantastic addition to this. You got something like Spray. You shoot more. You can shoot more bullets. So you shoot bullets faster. You can shoot more bullets before reloading, and you have less, and you spend less time reloading. That's a way to boost your firepower. Lit Beats. It's a bit less conventional, but it does work. Weapon accuracy. It gives you a bit more range on your shotgun. Weapon accuracy is more preference based for this build. But you see the point. You usually want something that gives you a bit more oomph in a fight, because having the only weapon that you can reliably use past 3 meters be the AA-12, which is an automatic shotgun with not fantastic range, kind of leaves you vulnerable to a lot of things. So yeah, if you're looting and everything and you find those blessings, then yeah, you can consider going for this build. And you can, I suppose what you can do is you can prep. If you find the katana and you know you want to run katana AA-12, AA-12 is a decently common gun, or both of these are pretty common, so you can grab one of them, grab let's say you find this first. You find the katana first, and you also find an AA-12. Instead of going katana AA-12 with none of the blessings that I just talked about, instead what you could do is you could run like katana AK, or like katana scar, for example, and then until you get the blessings I mentioned before, you just keep a katana scar. Once you have all those blessings and you're properly set up, then yeah, you can swap with the scar for the A12 and you'll be gaming. Or let's flip the situation. Let's say you find both of these, but you know there's a lot of people nearby, and you really want, and you're in somewhere like factory where there's a lot of close quarters fights. Then you're probably going to want to keep the AA-12, and you can swap out the katana for something like a FAMAS, or yet again a scar, and then you just go and pick up the katana when you find it in the future, because it's a pretty common melee, either from somebody's corpse, because people run the katana a lot, or from the loot on the ground. The point is that you're building you have a clear loadout here, and it's a decently strong loadout, but you're building it too early. You don't have the tools necessary to make it reach maximum power yet, which means that if you ever run into any fights, you're gonna have a pretty bad time. Now, this for example, the FAMAS maybe not, because it's decent close range, but this is a pretty good loadout right here. And then you go back to the katana A12. Now, personally, I don't really agree with katana A12. If you watch one of my previous videos, it is the one with the thumbnail of the person holding the sword. I explain why having a katana in your main slot as one of your main weapons is usually a bad idea. For most builds, admittedly, that person was playing in solo squads. You are playing in normal solos, so it's less applicable, but using katana in your first slot is very risky. You're sacrificing a lot of, well, firepower potential for a bit of mobility, and that's mobility you can usually get with a sawed-off, that you can get with jump or dash blessings, etc., etc., and sacrificing weapon slot to just have a tiny, to be able to move around a bit more than normal is, it's up to you. If it works for you, fantastic, but most of the time, I found it doesn't work, and I've seen that it doesn't really work. So you've got a pretty decent build here. You do seem to loot slow. Also, first piece of knowledge that I do not think you know about. You can store your weapons. So you can store your weapons. Shocking, I know, by pressing X, and this does various things. One of them is that your weapons are no longer held in your hands, which means that they are not colliding with the environment anymore. This is really good if you have to squeeze through a lot of tight spaces, if you're doing parkour or something. You won't get your gun jammed in a windowsill or something as you're trying to move around. The second thing that it does is that when you don't have a weapon in your hands, you move faster. You not only accelerate faster, you also have a slightly higher sprint speed. I think it's 10-20% faster, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it can it can save you 3 to 5 seconds when you're running across a field or a section. You can also the acceleration is actually a pretty important thing, because it means that you can strafe faster, which is really good if you're dealing with a sniper, if you're just trying to move around, if you're yet again trying to do parkour. You can jump farther with less time needed to start getting momentum, etc., etc. So in general, if you're not in the middle of a fight, and if you don't need to have your weapon out to shoot somebody, reload, wait for somebody to go around the corner to then shoot them, etc., etc., if you're just moving around, stow your weapon. Now, I have it on X, or it's by default on X. I have it on Q, because Q is a very easy button to hit, and it's also right next to 1, 2, and 3, and WASD, so I can move around, hit Q, and so I can just stow my weapon as I play, as I jump around, do parkour and everything, but it's up to you. So right now you're just mostly moving around. I will admit this is decently slow looting. Um, uh, yeah. I feel with a bit more time you'll get more experience at this and everything. Usually if you see something you can just run by, mash the E or interact button and you'll just grab it. Um, and you don't run the risk of picking up weapons because you have to hold E, so you can just tap E quickly to grab the stuff. But yeah. You can also grab stuff from your inventory if you didn't know. You hit the tab menu, it pulls up your inventory and it also shows items nearby, and you can just right click those items, it warps them into your inventory if you have space, and you don't need to grab them, which is really good if a gun spawns in the wall and you can't actually physically see the ammo next to it. You can just vacuum it into your inventory. It's a bit silly, but this is TABG, so yeah. I mean, for having okay, now that is actually a very good example of what I was talking about earlier about boosting your firepower. Rare Storm needs 4 shots to activate, I believe. Yes, 4 shots to activate. A12 shoots 8, which means that you need to hit about half of a shot to actually trigger lightning bolt on someone, which means that you're dealing, it's like 30 damage from the bullets and then another 40 damage. You're dealing about 70 damage. If you land a full shot on somebody, it does 96 damage, which is a lot of damage, FYI. Also, I think it actually triggers it twice if you land all 8 shots. I'm not entirely sure about that because TABG is notoriously buggy, especially regarding its blessings. But this is actually pretty good on your end. You have the katana primed, so you can dash the moment that the teleport hits. Very good, like time optimization. And unfortunately, all this time that you just saved kind of goes out the window because of your slow looting. But don't worry, knowing what you want to loot and what you should loot and like just looting faster in general is a skill you pick up with time as you play more and everything. This I do not necessarily agree with most. Clearing your inventory, very good, so you can grab grenades or more ammo if you need. You've already been to Shack. You dropped there, or you dropped next to it and you full looted and everything. There isn't really necessarily much of a reason for you to come all the way back to Shack, because in this lobby, you would have either heard somebody landing in, the person landing in would have shot you, or you would have seen them landing in. So there's very low chances of anybody. I'm holding up fingers here, but I really need some kind of camera. Point is, there's very low chance that there's someone actually here, which would be one of the reasons to come back. If there isn't somebody here, you don't really have a reason to come back here since you pretty much looted the entirety of the location. And it's best to just go to another location, either get loot from there or from the corpses of the enemies that you kill in other locations, than to go and double check a location. Like, yes, you might find a legendary speed blessing or something, but it's much more likely that you're going to find the legendary speed blessing from fighting people than it is from the one singular location that you missed. And even if you do miss it, it's fine. It's a battle royale game. You can just play another match. But basically, percentage based, let's say it is a rounding for simplicity here. It is, let's say it is a I cannot draw. I know I'm getting a bit detailed about this, but this is actually pretty important, especially if you want to improve. So, there is a theoretical 5% chance that there is a very valuable piece of loot in a loot spot in a location that you've already visited. That means 1 in every 20 games, there's a pretty important piece of loot that you just missed for whatever reason, and it would have helped you in everything. Now, there is a 20%. I really cannot draw. 20 to 35% chance that you're going to find the exact same piece of loot. This piece of loot that there's 1 in 20 games that you're going to miss it. There is a 4 to 7 times higher chance, approximately, this is not based off of any data, That you're gonna find this either A, on the corpse of an enemy, B, in a loot location at somewhere else, or C, from a supply drop. Which means that in general, it's usually a lot better and a lot more convenient to just keep moving, stay on the move, visit new locations and everything, because for the 1 in 20 games where staying back and fully looting a location is valuable, you're losing out on about so if it's 1 in 20 games where that's actually a good idea, there's about four of those games to 7 of those 20 games where you're losing out on not only kills but the chance to get said thing that you missed out on from somebody else, and much easier too than having to go and look for it. So I know that was a bit of a detailed explanation, but it's just it's mostly a developing a mindset thing. You want to be fast and agile in this game, and part of that is that yeah, you have to sacrifice some of the loot you usually get from POIs, and you just have to kind of gamble that other people have it. And I'm gonna just tell you ahead of time from my experience, people usually do have that stuff because they are the people that you kill are the people who did spend all of that time looting and everything. So you saved yourself about 2 minutes not having to loot, and you got it for free. And they were the ones who had to spend the time looting. So you walk away with A, a kill, and B, their loot, and C, 2 more extra minutes of time that you didn't spend looting. So, yeah. Alright. This is a pretty good movement from you. Good. This is very good. You want to go across the map quickly, you grab a vehicle. Okay, you're driving, I suppose you're driving on the road to keep speed. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can kind of just drive wherever, as long as you don't crash or flip the vehicle, you're pretty much good. But, nice. Okay. Not bad on your end. You could have crashed the motorcycle, or quote-unquote crashed. Crashing a vehicle intentionally is basically you just drive into a wall to stop the momentum and then you hop off, because if you're going too fast and you jump off a vehicle, you're stunned for a second or so. So you can just crash it into, actually, hold on. Like right here, you can just, it's kind of blurred to see. You can just drive right here into this wall here, and then you get off of the motorcycle and you can just turn around and shoot the guy. Just, that's another thing that you can do. Yep, he's up there. Okay. Your aim might need a bit of work. Okay, not a bad kill on your end. This is not a bad decision. I would have moved a bit further down. Like, I would have gone a bit more to your left here. Because there's a decent chance that the other person, or like in squads especially, there's a decent chance that the person who's over here-ish just kind of comes around this corner and guns you, because they know that this is your last seen location and everything. So usually you don't want to be in your last seen location, you want to be slightly near your last seen location to kill up and everything. Also, well, no. Maybe. Hold on. Fantastic. Yeah, your shotgun aim does need a bit of work, I will admit. That's the first time I've seen somebody get a teleport. Yeah, damn. First time I've seen somebody get a teleport kill in a while, so congratulations on that. Overall, these were some decent fights. Your shotgun aim definitely needs some work. Your movement was pretty good from what I saw. Actually, oh yeah, poison is another one of the damage boosting blessings. I completely forgot about that. I've had a bit of a long week. Yeah, okay. So, actually, this is something I wanted to mention. If you're gonna heal or loot a corpse, just, loot a corpse, res a teammate, do anything that prevents you from able to shoot someone. Prone with a Z. This is mainly just to make you a harder target to hit. Pressing Z will put you in prone. It makes you harder to see. It makes you harder to hit, actually, if someone's shooting at you from a distance. It also makes you, yeah, as I said, harder to see and everything, especially in tall grass. You're almost invisible in tall grass. In melee, like floating, blessing signs above your head kind of give you away, but even then, sometimes it can be tricky to spot people, so in general, just keep that in mind. Okay, what else? Also, this is another cool thing, is that you can right-click. I mentioned this earlier, but right-click, section of your inventory. So this menu right here, I will illustrate it for those who might not have understood. This is the nearby menu. It shows all the stuff that is nearby and everything. You can right click stuff that's in there and it will instantly teleport it to your inventory, which is really convenient. It's really, really convenient. It makes the whole process of looting a lot faster. It's also it's kind of essential if you want to not only loot somebody quickly, but loot somebody safely, so you're not spending a lot of time exposed like you are. Let's see. Most of this, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is mostly just you running around. Grabbing a motorcycle is a good idea. Okay. So you're driving past here and you're driving near this. Hold on. So you see a supply drop. You land there. Somebody's already here. And you just got to slash them to death. I think they crashed their car, which is a bit unfortunate. Also, I think that's a burst gun that they have. Which, it's a really big shame they didn't pick that up, because burst gun is really funny, and you also have more than enough ammo for it. But yeah. But yeah, yet again, proning, right-clicking stuff. This is actually, so this is just a personal thing that I recommend for people who are new or returning or just don't really understand what things in TABG do. And it's basically, you just want to go into the firing range and spend some time there, to just kind of get an idea of what everything does. For example, you will learn, like, obviously firing range isn't perfect. It's missing a couple of attachments and a couple of guns that are in the actual game. They just don't appear in the firing range because they don't. It's TABG. With stuff there, everything there actually. The main idea, the main reason I'm putting this here is that you really just, it's honestly the easiest way to get an idea of what everything does. What guns do, what the difference between a normal crossbow and a taser crossbow is, despite the name difference. Stuff like that. Like what ranges the FAMAS is good at, what ranges the AK is good at, what differences are there between the SCAR and the AK, between like the Winchester and the Kar98, between the Mossberger and the AA-12. Okay, that's not actually a fair example. Between the examples or like what are the differences between the Victor and the Thompson? You get the point. They're similar weapons, but they do handle very differently, and learning where, like, what a weapon's like ideal range, how it should be used, what attachments work best with it, and everything is usually really good. What you would also learn is what blessings do, and Now, admittedly, I will warn you ahead of time. Some blessings lie. For example, lit beats is complete lie. There is no difference between all three tiers of it. Um, there are also some other descriptions that are inaccurate. Vampirism technically heals you more than it should. Stormcall is buggy and doesn't always work, I think. It depends on the other person's internet. Point is, what you would learn is that you would learn that something like this epic regeneration is really good and technically is actually better than this epic healing words for a couple of reasons. One, regeneration is completely passive healing, which means that you don't have to do anything to heal. You just heal. You don't have to use a catchphrase. You don't have to prone. You don't have to shoot somebody. It's free healing. What you would also learn is that it boosts the healing speed of items that you already have, such as bandages and medkits, which is really beneficial, especially with this loadout, because this loadout makes you very prone to taking extra damage, just because you're playing so close quarters to people, and you have to really get in their face to actually get maximum effort. You're going to take a lot of damage because of that, which means that you want a lot of healing, and healing words does give you big bursts of healing, but it takes a minute to activate, and it doesn't really mesh well with the loadout that you have. So, yeah, that's an example of one of the things that you can learn from just jumping in the firing range and practicing with all the blessings and everything. If you have any questions, if you have any more questions about what weapons or blessings or items do, you can just ask me. You can ask me, you can ask people on the Discord server, you can ask pretty much anyone who's experienced with TABG and everything. Most people will be very opinionated about stuff, so keep that in mind. But you can usually avoid this by just saying, hey, what does X do, instead of saying, hey, is X good or bad or whatever. Like, avoid asking an opinionated question and you won't get an opinionated response. So, there's that.
Nightmare.
Alrighty. So you're driving around. I think you're looking for someone to shoot right now. Accuracy barrel halves the spread of the gun that you have equipped. It's really good on some weapons like the Tommy gun, which have naturally high spread, much more than other submachine guns. It also goes decently well with shotguns. It comes with the big pitfall of shotguns, which is the fact that it's easier to hit targets at range, but also you have less spread to work with. If you miss, you're going to miss more shots. So, it really is up to you. I think that just keeping the fast barrel is best for you, from what I saw about your aim. Yes, your aim is less than ideal, so... Or basically, your aim isn't good enough to the point where having more range would benefit you. You really just need the extra spread that the gun originally has. Now, this is pretty much just a free kill. Not bad. Not bad at all. You get a car moving in. Are you gonna chase the car? No, you're just gonna kind of go around. Or hold on, are you? You did the same thing as you did before. Not bad. Not bad at all. Also, quick tip, you don't really need to rush at all when the zone's closed. You have until the walls start falling down, or you have basically until this little ring progress bar reaches 60-70%. That's when the pillars come down and you really need to start panicking about getting to zone. But honestly, with the amount of time you have and the fact that you have a car nearby, you can just easily go and double check the body for loot. And you have more than enough time, even more so because you have katana and teleport dash. Or teleport. Vehicle preference, really up to you. You are driving you have crashed a motorcycle on the edge of... Well, that's definitely a new one. Yeah, you've just kind of lost the motorcycle. Just grab one of the cars. Or you can walk. Yes, that's pretty good. Rear the Hunt gives you speed based on kills, up to 10 kills worth of speed. And you've got 4, so it's a pretty big boost in speed. Okay, so someone's taking a lot of pot shots at you, and it sounds like a grand. You are slightly out of reach, but you have more than enough time. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, so you got someone all the way over there who is sniping at you, and your answer is to ignore them for what is the better part of about 2 minutes. I mean, actually, this isn't a terrible strategy. The walls close, which makes the arena smaller, which means that it's easier for you to fight because they have less distance to work with. I will admit, I was watching this earlier. This is actually not... Okay, so that's unfortunate. You get implosion and then get gunned. Smoke grenade is actually pretty good. Was that your smoke grenade? No, it wasn't. You threw out a splinter grenade. And it doesn't really do much, but it does scare him off. Very good use of healing words. You can run around and you don't have to attack. This is where part of your issues with loadouts start. Okay, first off, if you're going to run katana in your first slot, keep in mind that katana should very, very rarely, almost never be used as your main damage weapon because it is a melee weapon and a first-person shooter, a very inconsistent, high damage output first-person shooter. The game you're playing, which is TABG. Especially against pretty much all close-range weapons, you will die if you try and katana someone, which means that your first weapon should always be the A12. You should only use a katana if you are completely out of ammo, you don't have time to reload, and you will die before you reload. They are low enough health, and they are running away, and you don't have time or can't shoot them, or they are point-blank right next to you, and you can swap to the melee and kill them. Otherwise, do not start the fight with a katana, because you will, as you can see here, you will take 50 damage, and then proceed to die. Now, another thing is that you could have also popped a healing grenade during this. Well, maybe not here, because you're trying to katana him, and it's kind of hard to do that. But right here, you could have thrown a healing grenade right on this area and everything. And this guy is kind of more so busy on getting away from you because you have an A12 and a katana, which means that he's going to try and make distance, which gives you time to heal up with the thing. I will admit, this is where regen would have been really useful because this whole time you would have been healing up. You would have been healing up as you're running around and shooting the other guy and everything, instead of having healing words on cooldown, that's not really much. So, I mean, it's not a bad game. It's decently clear that you're new to this and everything. You're not terrible, but you do definitely have a lot of things to learn, especially about how weapons work and how you should build a loadout. Now, this is a couple of other games that they sent me afterwards. I'm going to be a bit quicker with these because I think I've already been doing this for like 20-ish minutes. Because I talk too much. Okay. So. Okay, hold on. Let me add a couple of things I mentioned before. Use melee weapons as a last resort. Unless you're memeing, of course. When fighting. They should be used when you're out of ammo, when you really need to kill and everything. Otherwise, just rely on your gun. What else? I mean, there wasn't really much else. If you had better aim, you would have won that. Be careful when approaching targets. You kind of walked into that implosion grenade at the start of that fight, which really made issues even worse, because they got free damage on you. So, yeah. So you're landing shack. Recommendation, avoid landing shack if you can, because people who do a exploit technique called super launching, which gives you incredible, like very high amounts of speed and basically catapults you out of the bus, tends to go to shack and area 64 and all these other high loot density areas, and they get there. They will always get there first because they are exploiting. It's a known exploit. It's unpatchable. It's part of the game. They will get there first. They will loot first, and usually they are semi okay-ish players, which means that they're probably going to turn around and kill you. Which means that usually you want to avoid landing shack or directly at shack. Instead, we want to do the landed like the corner areas, and you waltz into shack. Now, obviously, you're going to have less loot than the dude in shack here, or the person in shack here does, but that's just part of the sacrifice. Like, that's part of the risks that you take when going to Finland. You could also just go to containers or actual castle or city. Despite what everybody says, city has a good amount of loot, and it's also got a lot of cover, which makes it pretty good for early game fights and some mid-game fights. So, yeah. Just be careful in the future, because your technique of going shack like this will not always be sustainable and will definitely get you killed in the future. You should probably grab some kind of mid-range weapon here. This is a dangerously close-range loadout. You don't grab anything? Laser sight, very smart, makes it easier for you to hit those submachine gun shots. Yeah, no, this is definitely a very close range focus loadout, but this isn't half bad. You're gonna want like a couple attachments for stuff like the Thompson and stuff like the Thompson, but it's not bad. Let's see, this is mostly you looting. I think you find the storm. You do. Fantastic. This pairs really well with your shotgun, decently well with your submachine gun. This is actually pretty good. If you remember to use a sawed-off, it's very good for escaping implosion grenades, for moving around. In general, it's free movement. A lot of people like Bee Eater, which is one of the people that wanted your footage, or the other person that wanted your footage that wasn't me. They claim it to be this best third slot weapon. I don't agree for different reasons, but yeah, it's very, very consistent, and it's very, very good to get mobility, to throw mobility into your loadout if you can't get it via blessings and stuff like that. You get an orbital taser, which is definitely fun. Okay. Epic Shield and Words of Justice. Words of Justice is finicky. It suffers an issue known as desync, which is basically you tell the game server something, the game server doesn't agree, and the other person and the computer of the other person don't agree. So the thing that you try to do, shoot them with the giant sword and everything, usually doesn't actually trigger on them, but it does on yours. So. But I mean, it's pretty good for annoying people. It's actually really good for that, so. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. I would keep the laser sight. I would keep the laser sight until you get a health analyzer. Yeah, there's someone nearby.
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
Okay. I have not seen somebody get a double barrel a sawed-off kill in a long time. Congratulations. General tip: if someone has absolutely no loot and everything, just try and kill them as quick as possible. Even if they have time to grab a gun and everything, you just you are already fully loaded, have maximum ammo and everything, which means that you're going to kill them much, much quicker than they can ever kill you. Like, they could have grabbed a crossbow and one-shot you. It happens. But, like, it's likely that they won't. Nice, you got a launch pad grenade. Are you going to use it? You also found an insight. Not bad. Yeah, you are getting lucky this game. Dash. Okay, let's see. This is a lot of you looting. Yet again, this is what I was talking about earlier about looting too much. As you can see here, the lobby is only about half alive now. And you have like 10% more loot than you did before. I'm skimming through this mainly because I just want to comment on how you do fights, more so than your driving skills, which are okay-ish. Damn. Okay. This is actually going to bring up just a small piece of advice. Or this is just a recommendation more than anything. Higher zoom. Close range gun. This is kind of just a preference thing, but it's also for visual clarity. As you can see here, this scope is really bulky, and it's actually quite literally getting in your way of seeing this target, who is this bluish outline right here and everything. Like, if we draw through here, this would be more or less the shape they have and everything. And your crosshair is blocking about like 90% of that, or not the crosshair, the scope you have on it. So in general, don't put high zoom scopes on your close range weapons. Even more so, you're not really going to need them. You don't tend to ADS much with close range weapons because ADSing is a very easy way to get yourself killed, since it freezes your momentum and it makes you and you can't sprint as easily. So in general, just don't do that. If you want to, it's fine, but you are going to have to like learn to live with the fact that you're probably gonna miss more shots because your gun is in the way and you can't actually see your target. You're doing all right so far, from what I've seen. Like, it's very clear that you're new / still decently rusty, but not playing badly at all. Flash grenades are tricky because there's no actual clear indication of when they go off, or if you've actually stunned someone, but given the way this... Oh yeah, no, it did not hit. That's gonna hit you. It almost hit you. So he's reloaded, you've reloaded, you gotta stand still here. You have a knockback grenade, that would be fantastic for this. That is one of the funnier exchanges I have seen. Yeah. This is actually another part of why I recommend going to firing range and everything. If you knew that the knockback grenade forces people, like it just launches them and everything, you could have thrown that and just launched him out of the hiding spot he was in. You also... I have noticed that you do not use grenades much. I have been waiting to comment on that, though, because I'm not sure if you just haven't had many grenades, or if it is really just a... Or I don't know if it's A, you don't have enough... A, you don't have enough grenades. B, you don't know what the grenades do. Or C, you don't use grenades for some alternate reason that isn't already mentioned. I will admit, you do have smooth driving skills, so congrats on that. So you have a rematch against another Grand user. You are at a strict disadvantage here because, yeah. Oh, it's a Grand H1. Okay, you are in danger. And you get shot in the back with a Grand. Okay, unfortunate, honestly. You took this fight as well as you could, given what you had. Just keep in mind that usually, if you're in a situation like this, you are at a very clear disadvantage here. The moment you hear that sniper shot, or the sniper shot whiz past your head, you need to realize that none of your guns can functionally work anywhere past 35 meters. The Thompson can kind of, but it's very unreliable. This means that you need to take the fight to them. You cannot wait for them to close the fight, close the distance, because they will get a shot off and they will run at you and you will start the fight at a health disadvantage. You do not want this because that means there's a very, very high chance you lose. Instead, what you need to do is you need to find a way to close the distance on them. This could be with movement items such as the katana. You did this earlier in the previous game, I believe. Or with your sawed-off. This could be with grenades. If you throw a smoke grenade in the pathway that leads up to them, they can't see you, so they can't shoot you. If you throw a shield grenade, they can't shoot through that, so that gives you time to run up next to them. If you throw some kind of damage grenade or like an implosion grenade or something that forces them either into cover or out of cover, it buys you time to get closer. Whatever the point is, or not the point, whatever your option is, you need to just use something that lets you close the distance. Shooting at them, I will admit, is actually a pretty good way. Most snipers tend to kind of back off for a moment once they get shot at. The thing is, you just need to keep shooting off of them, and you need to react to that. I will also admit that I do suspect you do not use grenades much. I suspect this is because you do not know what they do. See previous firing range point. Point for more details. Basically, from what I'm seeing, you don't really know what the grenades do. You have like an idea, like the bouncy grenade probably bounces, the knockback grenade probably causes knockback on the target, but you don't really know how they work and how you should use them. If you don't know, just go into the firing range. You are lucky that all of the grenades are there. I think you might be missing the taser orbital, but that one is so rare that it almost never is used. And even then, any player with more than 400 hours tends to avoid it, tends to escape it, so it's not going to help you. Point is, you go into the firing range, use all the grenades, use them in every single scenario. Use them inside of a house, outside of a house, against a group of enemies, against one enemy, against yourself even. Be careful, some of them have a high chance of killing you, like the bouncy grenade, the cluster grenade, the bombardment grenade, etc., etc. Learn what their quirks are. For example, the bouncy grenade bounces a lot, has an 8-second fuse. Normal grenade, 2-second fuse, but it deals massive damage. It deals pretty solid damage. The dynamite has a much longer 5-second fuse and an active hissing sound, but it deals about 95 damage in its entire blast radius, which is a very large blast radius, and there is no damage fall off, so you could be on the very edge of it, and you'd still take 95-ish damage. I think yeah. Stuff like that. You will learn what grenades do and everything, and because of this, not only will you feel and be more confident in using them, you also know what adequate moment to use them is. For example, this would actually have been a pretty good time to throw an implosion grenade. Because what it does is that it sucks in the target and it stuns them for half a second. So you throw that, that's the wrong color, hold on. That's also the wrong color. You throw an implosion grenade here and everything, you sit behind this rock here, you wait for it to detonate. There's a good chance it hits this guy. This guy is just knocked out on the ground here. You run over, you're shocking him 2-3 times and everything. Boom, you've just gotten yourself a free kill. There you go, and that's what grenades can do. And trust me, I've had that happen about 4 times now. Is I've done that exact thing of grenading someone who's jumping on me, sitting behind cover, grenade goes off, I run out and I kill them. 4 times in like the past 2 months or something. Given that I only play like twice a week, which is it's very common. So learn what grenades do, because grenades will be one of your best friends. They are the secrets, or one of the secrets to winning consistently in fights, and especially if once you start playing solo squads, it is the absolute key to be able to take on multiple enemies at once, and not only divide them, be able to absolutely obliterate them, and use that momentum to go and shred through more squads. There's that. But yeah, that's this one. That is that game. Let's see, the Okay I Guess game. It is slightly shorter, which makes me think that you die. Okay, you definitely die early on, or like sometime through this. Either that or everybody else dies very quickly. You've landed Area 64, which is, it's a very dangerous spot, and I think it might be like a bit beyond, like, or quote unquote, out of your league. Like, there's a good chance of you getting a lot of difficult fights here, but also, that's a compensator, very useful attachment, halves recoil on guns. I would recommend picking it up. Okay. Yet again, please go into the firing range and learn what guns do what, and how they work, because the dual MAC-10s, despite being a very questionable pick because of their high ammo consumption and low damage output, need accuracy barrels to work, not compensators. Just so you know. This is an example, actually. This is a perfect example of why you want to go and try out the gun, so you know that, and you aren't using up a compensator on a weapon that doesn't really need it at all. I do hope that you actually grab some other submachine gun instead. I don't know if you will, but... Oh, this is going to be a long one. Yeah, okay. Oh, it has crashed. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Everything resolved. Yeah, smooth parkour here. Good job. Not bad, and there you go, the A12. You should really take that over the, you should take the A12 over the dual MAC-10s. Come on, please. Yes, fantastic. I mean, if you can aim well with the Grand, this isn't a half bad loadout, despite what some people might tell you. Also, actually, I think the compensator might be a pretty good decision for you, mainly because it can help you aim smoother with the A12. Okay, I'm going to speed through because I've been doing, this is getting to be a very long episode, or decently long, and most of what I want to comment about is on fights, because it is usually fights that shows off someone's biggest, like, pain points and what they can improve on. Looting is obviously part of it, as well as their, like, drop spots and how they loot and everything, but it is really fights that show off the main thing, which for a battle royale game is not surprising. Okay, you must get like sniped here or something, because oh, you nice. Hold on, what happened here? I see. Okay, so then he got close, and then you threw in a thing, and then, okay, yeah. Oh, excuse me. hold on. You're... Ah, Enya. Wow, he struggled to kill you. That's interesting. I'm gonna be honest, you're kind of just outclassed here because this is a decently skilled, moderate skilled player who has a decent idea what he's doing. Main thing, like, you were actually holding your own right here, and you were actually doing pretty well. If he's this close to you, just stick to your AA-12 and everything. Like, there's a good chance yes, you might get a guaranteed headshot and kill him, but it's much more likely that with the AA-12 you'll be able to just chip down his health and kill him. But no, you had some solid strafing here. Very good, like, left and right and everything, dodging his shots. Jumping as well. Most people don't do this, and it is shocking how much value you can get. But yeah, you're kind of unfortunate that, yeah, you ran into him. Anyways, let's see. This is the last game. Don't worry, this one is... I'm almost done with this. I'm mostly speaking to MrDootDoot here because he requested this be slightly shorter, and that has definitely not happened. Apologies if you've made it this far. This is just how my reviews are. There's just a lot to talk about. Okay, this is Shaq. Like I said before, dangerous location. To land here consistently, I would recommend landing nearby and then going from there. Okay, hold on. So you've got Scar Katana. It's a bit weak at like 10 to 20 meters, because the Scar loses to the AK at those ranges, but it's much more versatile, it's much more versatile than your consistent Katana A12 loadout. You might swap to that this game, I don't know. Let's see. Hold on, what did you say? I think that's a quote of some kind, but I do not know. This is mostly just you driving around. This match seems to be exclusive you driving around. Yeah, so you do go for this. Hold on. What blessings do you have? Okay, yeah, no, actually, so this is actually a perfect example of what I was talking about at the very start of the video, if you've made it this far. Because you have these blessings here, which are very well suited to this weapon combo here, and it makes up for a lot of the shortcomings that this combo has and everything. The fact that you're going with this combo now means that you already have all of the blessings and everything that you need to make it work. You have a cardio for moving around and to get a bit of burst healing from the Katana's dash. You also have healing aura to help you with the healing. You have vampire, which gives you a lot of health back when you shoot people with the A12. You have poison for that bonus damage. So even if you only land a couple of stray pellets or you aren't getting full damage shots with the A12, you're still racking up a lot of damage over time. So, yeah. This is a very good damage. This is a very good example of what I was talking about earlier. So congratulations on that. Oh no, please do. Okay. This would actually be a semi-acceptable scenario in which to run over and just stab him. It took you a bit, but you did manage to do it. Hold on, what did this crate have? Epic small? Yeah, probably on the card instead of the cardio. This is a very deadly loadout. Unfortunately, given that there are 2.5 minutes left on the clock, yeah, I don't think you can use melee weapons on a vehicle. Even if you can, it's probably better if you don't. Let's see. So you crash into there, gives you time to get out. And that's what I was talking about not using katana as your main weapon, because exactly that happens. So, overall, okay, closing thoughts, I will definitely leave a timestamp here. It is, hold on. Okay, alrighty, I will have it timestamped down below, so if you want to skip all of the details about what I said and you just want a very brief explanation of the overviews I did in this video, here they are. First off, general gameplay knowledge. You can stow your weapons by pressing X, which lets you move faster. You can right-click loot in the nearby menu in inventory to warp it to your inventory. You can also right-click attachments to put them on your guns. You can right-click attachments on your guns to remove them. You can prone with a Z, and you should if you're healing or resing someone or doing anything that leaves you exposed where you don't have your gun equipped. And then as for like more theoretical stuff, from what I've seen, you're not terrible, but you do really need a lot more experience and knowledge about how the guns and game, like the guns work, the blessings work, and the grenades work. Best solution for that, you just hop in the firing range, get the in the main menu. It doesn't have everything, but it has pretty much everything. Just spend half an hour there, an hour there. You can be on a call with some buddies, listening to podcast, whatever it is. Just throw stuff together, like try mixing combos and everything. I believe it is Dual Rotor Helicopter has a fantastic, actually hold on. Okay, here it is. This is a quick explanation of what all the attachments do. As you can see, Compensator reduces recoil, whereas Accuracy Barrel reduces the spread of your gun. If you don't know which is which, spread is how far your bullets go from where you're aiming, and recoil is how much the gun kicks upwards. Then there's stuff like Fast Barrel, makes your bullets faster. Double Barrel reduces your damage, but you get double bullets. Fire Rate reduces your damage, boosts your fire rate, and everything. Go experiment with the guns and these attachment combos, and you'll learn quickly that, for example, machine guns like the MG42 work really well with the Compensator, whereas shotguns work well with the Accuracy Barrel, and something like the VSS or the Rainmaker, which have slow bullets, want a fast bullet speed. Or sniper rifles, they also want a fast bullet speed. What else? Same thing, as for the grenades point that I have listed here, you don't really use grenades much, and from what I've seen, I suspect it's mainly because you don't really know what they do. Same thing, go into the firing range, throw them around and everything. You'll see what they do very quickly. Worst case scenario, if you don't really have time to go into the firing range, or if you want information on something that isn't in the firing range or you don't understand, ask me, ask people on the TABG server. We can tell you what it does, how it works, and everything. This game is usually, most of it is done by the community. Pretty much everything is the community helping itself, so we are here for you as a resource. Overall, you're definitely not a bad player. Maybe a bit rusty from what I've seen, but yeah, you really just need to know that what you're able to do, and you just need a bit more knowledge about how the game works. So yeah. Anyways, that will do it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If MrDootDoot, if you sat through this entire thing, thank you very much. If you just skipped here, then no worries, it's fine. Yeah. As always, if you want me to do this live to your gameplay, and you want to chat with me, talk with me about like the theories or discuss what I'm saying and everything, you can book a session with me with Medify down in the description below. Or if you just want to chat with me more casually, I do have a Discord server also in the description below. And if you want to support me and support the videos that I make, then I have a Ko-fi, in which I will accept tips that really that help me make these videos and provide knowledge to you guys that help make you better players. And on that note, I'm going to go to bed. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see y'all later. Ciao.